All right, hi guys, my name is Caitlin, and in this video, I'm going to share with you, I guess, the story behind why I quit my job, so to speak. Um, I might take a minute to think at some point just because it's been about 5 years since all of this transpired, and the video is honestly long overdue. It's just, if you watch any of the past videos, I've talked myself out of it, but I feel like the universe has been really clear lately about, sharing my journey, sharing my insights, things of that nature. So here we are. But yeah, I would say basically there was a series of events starting, in August, five years ago, that led towards me quitting my job, and then I officially quit my job in February. It'll be officially 5 years in February 2025, and it's crazy, honestly, to think that I've been an entrepreneur for 5 years. I guess maybe because I'm not really where I want to be honest with you, but we can talk about that another time. So basically in August of 2019, like August 2019 is just like a one for the record books for me. I feel like it's definitely the moment in which it's a pivotal moment in which I feel like my life started to change just because I had my spiritual awakening. And so with that, and then honestly the subsequent years, I just always look forward to August, like Leo season in particular, just because I feel like I always receive like a lot of downloads. And you know people at Lionsgate is in August, and I've read different things about Lionsgate, like it's actually not in August, and like it's actually not something that you want to be focusing on. But honestly, it's like that's not really my story, because again, I feel like I always get a lot of downloads and divine guidance during August, during Leo season. So it's always meant something to me and will continue to mean something to me. And then also 888 is one of my favorite numbers too. I have this little necklace that I found on Etsy. Eventually I would like to sell my own angel number necklaces too, but yeah. So August 2019 was a very pivotal moment in my life. I had my awakening basically at the beginning of the month. And pretty much if you've been through a spiritual awakening or just had that major shift in consciousness, because I honestly feel like we're always awakening, but then at some point I just kind of feel like there's this event that really kind of like turns you on in a sense. Like when I had my awakening, it's just that really unlocked my clairaudience. I feel like of course always had these gifts, and I feel like they were slowly coming online, but once I had my awakening, again, just things radically shifted. I feel like the clairaudience was stronger and things were coming through more quicker. And it's just like whenever I was having like a negative thought, um you know my it would be counteracted with a positive, things like that. So yeah, had my awakening, things immediately shifted. I started, of course, feeling like, where I was living, and then, of course, my job was no longer in alignment with me. And it's like I knew that the job was no longer in alignment with me, and I knew that eventually I was not going to be there. But I guess to actually be in the time in which it was like coming closer and closer, it felt surreal, so to speak, and I really wasn't ready. And I was honestly trying to control things. Because it's just like, again, when you're just aware of energy, um you don't stay in places that don't align with you. But I don't really feel like I understood that necessarily yet, and again, I wasn't ready. But anyways, let's just fast forward to October. So I'd already started my page, or I started my page at the end of October, and I just remember, I'm pretty sure at this point I was already doing readings. Excuse me. It's like whenever I turn the camera on, that's when I start getting like indigestion or something like that. But I had started doing readings or something of that nature. And I just remember being in the office at work, and I was like, this would be so nice if I could do this as my job. And I just remember hearing that you can. And I was happy and I was grateful. And it's like whenever I hear like guidance like that, I like to say thank you. So I said thank you, but also please don't intervene, because I'm pretty sure I was aware at that point that the universe could intervene. And so yeah, I was like grateful, but it was just kind of like a little bit unnerving, because it's just like, oh no, like I feel like it was even more of a sign that, my time was coming to an end. And then pretty much after that, like basically all 3 months leading up towards February, something happened. So kind of going on at the same time, but a little bit prior to, I had this coworker that basically just started drama, just meddling, and always tried to make it seem like people were not doing their job. And then she, made her way to me basically. And she had done it a couple times prior to November, but I had given her several chances, didn't say anything. But in November, it was like the last straw. I was done. So I don't remember exactly what happened, but it was just another situation in which she tried to make it seem like I wasn't doing my job. And at this point, I had already been there for 10 years. And really, I had nothing to worry about. But if you know me, the one thing you're not gonna do is just make it seem like I'm not doing my job. We're not gonna do that. And like I said, I'd already given her like several chances before. So she did whatever she did. I was very upset, and I, talked to my bosses, pulled them aside, let them know that I was very upset. And I felt like they understood on some level, but at the same time they didn't. But either way, we discussed, I shared with them that I would like to pull her aside and, get the situation figured out. Not attacking her, not trying to create drama or more conflict. It's just I wanted to understand where she was coming from, but then also let her know, like, this is not going to happen again. And so, we arranged for us to have a discussion. I ended up, approaching her. I wasn't aggressive or anything like that. I promise you I was not aggressive. I was just, I said whatever I said. I don't remember now. I wasn't keeping a journal at that time. But I approached her and, it's just like, why did you do whatever you did? And immediately she got defensive. She got red. She got her things and she quit. And to me, it's just like she obviously gave herself away, because it's just like, if you did not do this, if you were not trying to make it seem like something that it wasn't, then you wouldn't have quit. But either way, she quit. My boss was very upset at that, because basically this was leading up towards, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, which is the beginning of holiday season, which is also, the kickoff to like the busiest time of the year at my job. And so he was upset, which I understand, but at the same time, I didn't care. I feel like we had obviously been through worse and we were just going to have to figure it out somehow. And it's like the only reason, he was upset was because she was valuable in the way that she just didn't have a life outside of work. Like, if she could work every day, like all day, every day, she would have done that, because that's how she positioned herself at work. And so that's why he was upset, because we were losing somebody a full-time person basically. But like I said, we were gonna get through it, and we got through it. So she quit. That happened. Okay. And then going to December, I was general manager, whatever. And so I also was in charge of the schedule. And so I'm pretty sure I was working on the Christmas schedule. I had pretty much finished it, and, I gave it to them, and pretty much it's just like, I just felt like, well, I gave them the schedule, and then they decided that they wanted to basically redo it. But with the way things happened, it just kind of felt like they already knew that they wanted it done a certain way. And so for me, I'm just like, if you knew that you wanted it done a certain way, then why didn't you take over it? Why didn't you just do the schedule? Like, why did I have to waste my time on this? And it may not have been like that. Whatever, the situation happened, I got upset, and, that's that. Because I guess it just kind of felt like I was being undermined. Like, it was their business, of course, but it's just like, what you want to do. And if you had already had this in mind, you should have just done it, basically, is what I had felt. And so yeah, that happened. I was very upset that day, and I stayed my full shift, but I did not help to stay clean up, because I was that mad. Like, it was just a situation which I felt like I needed to remove myself. I needed to like calm down. And so I ended up leaving early, not helping clean up, like I said, but I ended up going to my car, and on the outside of my car, there was a note that said, let the peace of Christ rule in your heart. I'm pretty sure that's what it said. And I just felt like that was, I got that message at the perfect time. Like, for me to, be leaving work so upset and then have that note on my windshield, it was just crazy. But I was definitely appreciative. I felt like, the universe was, talking to me. And I kept that note. I actually put it on the inside of my windshield, and I kept it on the inside of my windshield, I believe, until the car broke down. And then I still have the note. I have it in my wallet somewhere. It's faded and everything. But yeah, I was kind of shocked. But it's just kind of like that divine timing sort of thing, And then I'm pretty sure, like, after that happened, I let them know that was a point in which I just let them know, okay, my time is coming to an end. I don't know exactly when my last day is going to be, but I just, I'm going through a lot. I had left my 10-year relationship. I had to move back in with my mom. I had also basically 2019, I was just coming off of having two kids back to back. I had my awakening. I was just going through a lot. And, just the things at work, I just needed a break. And so, yeah, I just broke it to them that my time was coming to an end, which I feel like we all, again, already knew. And they were very understanding. But I guess for me, I was just having trouble with it because, again, for it to finally be here and it to look the way that it did, I don't really think that I ever saw myself going through what I was going through, and that leading towards me quitting my job. But I feel like that's maybe just kind of like another whole different story. But yeah, let them know that my time was coming to an end. And so then in January, I'm pretty sure I decided that the middle of February would be my last day, just with how the timeline worked out. But January, I let them know when my last day would be, but then something else happened. And honestly, it was just like the final situation in which basically prior to that, years back, there have been several situations in which I was blamed for something that wasn't my fault. But in the past, I just didn't stick up for myself. And I feel like, honestly, if I was in the place that I'm in now, like I wouldn't have even been at that job as long as I was, but everything happens for a reason. So yeah, there were situations in the past that I got blamed for that were not my fault. And it's not even just, because being a manager, being a leader, you have to take responsibility for certain things, but those situations were not my fault. And so again, a similar situation happened in January of 2020. And that was the final straw for me. I feel like I was, doing what I was being told to do, but again, somehow the situation ended up being my fault. And I just remember being very upset, very distraught over this. And I don't remember the exact time frame because, like I said, I was not journaling or anything like that. But I was just so upset. I was crying, just having a lot of breakdowns. But again, I wish I could remember the exact time frame. It had to have been over like a span of like a day or two. But I just remember specifically, though, it was a Sunday where I was in the car getting ready to go to work, getting ready to go inside. I was in the parking lot, and I was having another breakdown. I was just crying, and I'm just like, I had to get real with myself. I'm like, Caitlin, maybe it was, my higher self or the universe, my guides talking to me, but it's like, Caitlin, why are you breaking down over this? Why are you so upset when you've already given your notice? Just leave. And so this had to be like the final week in January, or early February. But yeah, I was just like, just leave. And when I had that, I'm like, you're right. Like I'm going to do that. I'm just going to leave. And so immediately my energy changed, and my boss, he was there because, basically he was a micromanager. He said he really didn't want to be hands-on with the business, but he was very hands-on. And, I understand because it's, that's the way that he made money, but like, it's just like what he said he wanted and how he was acting was very different basically. So yeah, he ended up being there. And so I just told him, I'm just like, I'm not going to be able to finish out my 2 weeks. This is going to be my last week. And that was that. But at this time, again, I wasn't standing up for myself. I wasn't sharing my feelings. I did not tell him that I felt like what happened with that situation was not fair. And so I just didn't talk to him for my whole last week. And obviously he felt that, he noticed that. And so he ended up, I'm not sure if he was on the schedule that Saturday, but he was there, and he pulled me aside and he was just like, I noticed that, something's off or whatever. And it was a couple, actually. I don't know if I made that clear, but, I told them how I felt, and we what do you call it? We made peace, I guess. But I just finished my shift and, said my goodbyes and, left, and I never spoke to them again. And, at the time, like looking back, I definitely feel on some level I didn't handle it the best way, but I handled it the best way I knew how at the time, because again, I just didn't know how to express my emotions. And obviously that comes from my upbringing. But I just kept a lot inside. And is that passive aggressive maybe? But yeah, I just kept it inside. And that's just the way I chose to go about it, not speaking to them. After my last day, I ended up changing my number, because it's just like, I didn't really want to be bothered with that. I didn't want to be contacted. as you know, now looking back, I do feel like I've healed from the situation and I could see how I could have handled it differently, but it is what it is. You know, in my mind, I was closing a chapter, and, you know, I do feel like that chapter is closed. Sometimes, you know, I do think like, what if the lines of communication were still open? But, you know, as far as I know, they also never reached out to me, like, you know, because they had my email and things like that. But like, I'm at peace with the situation. I'm grateful for having that job because I feel like I unintentionally learned a lot. Like, I became a leader. I learned how to manage people. I learned how to do, you know, schedules. I learned about taking inventory, just things. I learned a lot of things that would help prepare me for running my own business, which is what I'm doing, you know, today. So yeah, that's really the story on, you know, what led towards me quitting my job, and kind of going back to just how things turned out. It's just kind of crazy because I quit really just, I felt like I was forced. You know, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. My time was up and I was just trying to hold on, and when clearly I needed to let go. So that was a lesson for me. But then also it's just like I was trying to hold on just due to the whole money aspect. Yeah, I was trying to hold on due to the whole money aspect. I thought I was going to burp. Trying to hold on due to the money aspect, but I couldn't even do that. I would have liked, and I ideally like to have waited until I got my taxes in February or March, but you know, I had to go for it. And this was a time when we're getting like stimulus checks anyways, but it was not how I wanted to it's not how I wanted to leave, but it's like everything happened in perfect timing, honestly, because I feel like I did that right before COVID starts. So it's like I still would have had to go through the same thing when it comes to money. It's like if I didn't quit then, or things didn't happen like that, I still would have been, in a sense, not been able to make money, because I don't know, the location ended up shutting down, or everything ended up shutting down for I don't know how long. So I still would have had to deal with that some way. But, you know, in a sense, it did kind of prepare me a little bit. But then I also just wanted to say too, it's just like in my mind, I like I said, I think I said in the beginning, I never had an idea of when I was going to be leaving. Ideally, again, it would have been when I was moving along with my business and my business was able to provide for me. But again, I couldn't wait for that. I just had to go, I guess. I don't even want to say with my instincts. I just feel like, you know, they might not have removed me in one sense, but I feel like the universe still had a hand in removing me from that situation. So yeah, I'm gonna start rambling now, but yeah, that's pretty much how I left my job. Let me know if you've gone through something similar. I've been an entrepreneur now for 5 years, and like I was saying in the beginning, you know, I thought my ideal career would be being a full-time tarot reader, but now it's like I'm being pulled away from that, it seems like. So it's just kind of crazy how life turns out, and I already feel like I have an idea on where I'm being guided to go, or where I'm being positioned to go, and it's a little bit scary, it's a little bit unnerving. But I said this, I don't know if I'll post a video, but I said exactly where I believe they're taking me back then. So it's just like I kind of have to get back to where I used to be, as far as, you know, just being really confident. And like I don't know why my confidence kind of came down a little bit. I think I just started being mean to myself again and kind of returning back to my old habits. But I'm trying to really work on that, or I've been really working on that this year. Like, even though things have not always gone how I want them to be, or sometimes when, like, you know, when you have a slow time in business, you can kind of get discouraged. But instead of like getting out of control with that, I am doing my best to stay positive and, you know, affirm that business will pick up again, and success is coming. You know, there are slow times, and there are slow times, and there are things that you can do when it comes to slow times. When it's a slow time, you know, that's time to rest. That's time to prepare for your next busy season. So I'm trying to go with that. But yeah, the video is pretty much over now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.